As an endocrinologist, I often meet patients in their 70s who come to me worried after a bone density scan, even though they feel strong, walk every day, and haven't fallen once. What many people don't realize is that some bone thinning is a normal part of aging, not an emergency. A scan number alone doesn't tell us. From my years working with older adults across the country, I've come to see that this issue goes far beyond any single test or doctor's visit. The real problem is the system itself. Many seniors are placed on a routine schedule of screenings that continues automatically, even when their health, lifestyle, and personal risk haven't changed. Appointments become checklists, and tests are ordered because they are due, not because something new is wrong. When a result comes back slightly outside the normal range, it often sets off a chain reaction. One test leads to another, then a referral, then a treatment. All before anyone pauses to ask whether the original finding truly matters for that person's daily life. For older adults, this can mean more stress, more appointments, and more medications, without feeling any better or living any safer. I've had patients tell me they felt perfectly fine until a test result made them anxious, changed how they saw their own body, and slowly turned them into someone who felt fragile. Healthcare should support independence and confidence, not quietly replace them with fear. In this video, my goal is not to scare you or tell you to stop trusting your doctor, but to help you ask better questions before saying yes to every test. We'll look at 5 common checkups that often create more worry than protection after age 70. And we'll talk about safer, smarter alternatives that many people are never told about. Everything I share is grounded in real medical research and everyday clinical experience. Before we go further, I'd love to hear from you. Let us know where you're watching from, your age, and whether a medical test has ever left you feeling more stressed instead of reassured. Let's walk through the 5 checkups I see most often creating unnecessary stress and harm in adults over 70, starting with ones that sound harmless and ending with the most overused of all. My goal here is not to tell you to refuse care, but to help you understand when a test truly helps and when it may quietly take more than it gives back. The first is the bone density scan. On paper, it sounds like a smart move. You lie still for a few minutes and leave with a number that claims to predict your fracture risk. The problem is that after 70, bone thinning is common, even in active, healthy people. A slightly low score does not automatically mean fragile bones or imminent danger. Yet I regularly see patients rushed into bone medications after a single scan, despite never having fallen or broken anything. These drugs can irritate the stomach, cause severe heartburn, and in rare cases lead to jaw pain that makes eating difficult. What's often overlooked is that gentle strength training, balance work, enough vitamin D from sunlight or supplements, and calcium from foods like yogurt, canned salmon, and leafy greens can reduce fracture risk more effectively for many seniors than medication. A scan should start a conversation, not force a prescription. The second is a brain MRI ordered for mild memory changes. Almost every older adult I meet worries about forgetting names or misplacing keys, and that fear alone can be exhausting, too often. The next step is an MRI. These scans almost always show small changes that come with age. Even in people who think clearly and live independently, once those images are seen, anxiety can spiral. I've watched patients lose confidence, stop driving, or withdraw socially after being told their scan looked abnormal, even when their thinking was well within the normal range. In most cases, simple memory screening tests, good sleep, staying hydrated, managing blood sugar, and keeping the brain engaged tell us far more than an expensive scan. Imaging has its place, but it should be reserved for clear warning signs, not everyday forgetfulness. The third is the cardiac stress test. This is commonly ordered when someone mentions feeling more tired than usual or slightly winded on hills. After 70, these tests are much more likely to raise false alarms. A result that looks concerning often leads to invasive follow-up procedures that carry real risks, including bleeding, kidney strain from contrast dye, and long hospital stays. I've cared for patients who went in feeling mildly tired and came out with weeks of recovery from a procedure that never addressed the real cause. In many cases, fatigue comes from dehydration, skipped meals, poor sleep, or low activity during winter months. A basic heart rhythm test done at rest, along with a thoughtful conversation about daily habits, is often a safer first step. The fourth is routine colonoscopy in older adults without symptoms. Colon cancer screening has saved lives, but age matters. The preparation alone can cause dehydration, dizziness, and weakness. Sedation can temporarily affect thinking and balance, increasing fall risk afterward. The procedure itself carries a higher chance of bleeding or tearing in older adults. I've seen patients spend days in the hospital after a complication from a screening they didn't truly need. For many people over 75, especially those who've had normal results in the past. Simpler, stool-based tests done at home can offer reasonable protection with far less risk. Screening should always be personalized, not automatic. The fifth, and most concerning, is the full-body CT scan, marketed as peace of mind. These scans expose the body to a large amount of radiation and frequently find tiny spots that are harmless but alarming. Once found, they often lead to repeat scans, biopsies, and referrals that can cause real injury and lasting fear. I've watched strong, active seniors become patients overnight because of something that never would have caused trouble. There is no solid evidence that full-body scans without symptoms help people live longer or better. When imaging is needed, it should be targeted and purposeful, not a fishing expedition. Across all 5 of these tests, the pattern is the same. The issue isn't technology itself, but what happens when we use it without context. Healthcare should help you stay active, independent, and confident. If a test doesn't clearly support those goals, it's worth pausing and asking what comes next. This is the moment where I want you to pause and really reflect, because this is where good intentions often turn into real harm. I've seen patients who felt perfectly healthy walk into a clinic for reassurance and walk out carrying fear they never had before. A scan finds something small, unclear, and suddenly their days revolve around follow-up appointments, more imaging, and waiting for phone calls that steal their sleep. Their body hasn't changed, but how they see themselves has. They stop traveling, stop exercising, stop trusting their own strength. What hurts the most is knowing that many of these findings were never dangerous to begin with. The emotional weight, the stress on the heart, the strain on family members, and the loss of confidence can be far more damaging than the condition that was being searched for. Medicine should protect your quality of life, not quietly take it away through fear-driven testing that offers no clear benefit. As we step back and look at the bigger picture, the most important message I want to leave you with is this. More testing does not always mean better care. Good medicine is not about doing everything possible, but about doing what truly matters for you as an individual. After 70, your health is best protected by staying active, eating well, sleeping enough, and maintaining routines that support strength, balance, and mental clarity. Tests should serve those goals, not distract from them. You have every right to slow the process down and ask simple, honest questions like, "What will this test change?" or "What happens if we wait?" A thoughtful pause can prevent a long chain of stress, procedures, and side effects that offer little real benefit. I encourage my patients to see themselves not as fragile bodies that need constant checking, but as capable adults who know their own limits and strengths. When you feel heard, informed, and involved in decisions, healthcare becomes a partnership instead of a source of fear. Real prevention is not hidden inside a machine or a scan. It's built daily through movement, nourishment, connection, and confidence. Before you schedule your next test, my advice is simple and practical. Pause for one day and write down how you actually feel in your body. Are you walking comfortably, sleeping through the night, eating regular meals, and managing your day without fear? If the answer is yes, that information matters just as much as any scan. Talk openly with your doctor. Bring a list of questions, and don't rush decisions made in a moment of anxiety. The healthiest choices often start with confidence, patience, and trust in your own daily experience.